Sarah with an H or no H?
With an H.
Okay.
We have a Brittany in our major who's Brittnny.
Why? Why?
Yeah.
And is why.
Brittany. Brittany.
It's Brittany.
Who needs vowels when you can just...
All right, sorry.
Okay, so we're going to take a break from some language stuff. We're going to look at rational numbers and irrational numbers. So, like, if you have a scratch sheet of paper, it might be helpful. If not, you can do it in your head.
So these are our standards that we are going to talk about today. The first one is knowing that a number that is not rational is called irrational. And then the second standard touches on being able to graph irrational numbers on a number line.
Okay, so first we're just going to start off with a little definition because we don't really expect you to remember exactly what rational and irrational numbers are. So, does anyone have an idea of what a rational number is? Anyone? No? Yeah?
Number that ends.
That ends? Okay. That's definitely...
That doesn't go on forever.
That's a portion of it, yeah. Any other ideas? Okay, so basically, a rational number simply is just a number that can be written as a fraction. So there's a lot of types of numbers that can be written as a fraction. If it's a terminating decimal, that can be written as a fraction. It's not a pretty fraction, but it can be written as one. A repeating decimal can be written as a fraction. So just because it has a decimal doesn't necessarily mean that it's not rational. Like basically, to sum it all up, a rational number can be written as a fraction. So given this, can you guys come up with any examples of a rational number?
So like 0.3 repeating is 1/3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a decimal, but it can be written as 1/3, so then it's considered rational.
That's amazing.
Any other?
2/3.
Can 3/3 be one then? Like whole numbers?
Whole numbers are
Okay.
also rational. Yep. Because a whole number can be written over 1, and so it's a fraction, so it's rational. So these are just a couple of examples that we came up with.
Okay, so does anybody have an idea of what an irrational number
A
is?
number that cannot be written as a fraction.
Right, so a number that cannot be written as a simple fraction. And can anyone give me an example of an irrational number?
Like
Something
Pi.
0
zero
and
pi.
1.
Pi, right? Pi. Is there any other examples
Something
besides
over
pi?
zero. Wait, that's imaginary. Or no.
No, something over 0 is just undefined.
Yeah, that.
Doesn't exist.
Is that when you get into those numbers, it's like 2.6 times 10 or whatever?
No, those are very big
Those
numbers.
end, right?
Okay.
Any other guesses?
No. Pi.
So pi is an irrational number, and the square root of 2 is an irrational number. Does anyone know why? Do we know the square root of 2? No. So it has a decimal that just keeps going on and on and on. It doesn't repeat. So this example is a decimal, but the numbers in the decimal part do not repeat at all. It's just going to keep changing, so we can never write that as a fraction.
Okay, so we're going to have you individually, given these numbers down here, sort them. As you see, this is why it might be helpful to have a scratch sheet of paper. Sort them into rational or irrational numbers. So try and do it by yourself first.
So if you don't know what it is, can you think about it like it might be? I mean, it's obviously like... Okay.
12 is not a perfect square.
No, that is 169.
Yes.
13? 14? 13. Thank you. I was like, I thought it was one of those ones that I should know. So
Because 12 times 12 is 144.
yeah. That's the only one I knew. We all had to memorize like 12s.
So now that you kind of have to work on it yourself, get in like your partner buddy or okay, you can go in here and talk about them and compare and see what you guys.
So not quite. And I wasn't sure 12.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what 12 is though.
Well, it's not a 169.
Yeah, I know, but like whole numbers can't be like 3.5 is still rational.
Yeah, but square roots of not are rational, right?
Oh,
See, 12 I don't know.
that's why I got a question
I'm
right
sure
there.
they could be because as long as it doesn't just keep going and not repeating.
But then the rest are rational.
Don't they usually keep us?
I have no idea.
Well,
I
let's
think
find
we're going to
out.
learn something.
anyone know about this? Can you square root on the phone?
If you turn it sideways to the scientific calculator, there should be a square root on it.
Is your calculators up there?
This is the square root, so square root of
Guys
that.
agree?
Yep.
Hope they're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you kind of compared it, we're going to have like one person from the group come up and you can like click on it and then move it into which one.
Go for it.
Go,
Brian.
I want to do it.
Okay, pick one.
Just one?
Yep,
We're doing one at
Do
a
the hard
time.
one that we just figured out.
we'll do one at a time. I mean, if you want to.
Whoa! That
If
was
it
neat.
spins, that means that it's right. If it's wrong, it'll reject it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Sheree and Kayla, you want you guys first?
So it uses what the fuck.
I'm
Follows
so
my mind.
Like, check it what's going on.
I've learned so much.
Woo! Gotta spin.
It's like instantly gratifying.
It is instant gratification.
Cat.
Oh, me?
You're your own group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
Then you guys want to go again?
We're such a
This is fun.
I like this, yeah.
I want a smart board.
I want my own.
For my own
Well,
use.
one for, yeah.
Just to play.
Yeah, in your house.
Write myself big notes.
No, you shouldn't use that as a
Interactive to-do
chalkboard.
lists. Interactive to-do
Yeah.
Oh, there.
I know. It landed
All
in
right,
the box.
Kelsey, last one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what number it was. I forgot. Wow. Oh, it actually rejected it. That's funny.
So, yep, you guys did a great job. I know there was some like talk about it, which was really great to hear, like talking between like working through your reasoning. So, you guys were like looking at square root of 12. So, what was kind of throwing you off there?
Well, we just didn't really know. Like, if you square it 12, we didn't know if like the fraction or the decimal would end, or if it would just repeat or something like that. We weren't sure, so we had to kind of like look it up. We figured it wouldn't repeat just because we know that there's not like a simple.
There's not like, yeah.
to it. Yeah.
Right. A lot of times, if it's not a perfect square, like when you square root a number that's not a perfect square, a lot of the times it's non-terminated and non-repeating. So that's why most of them will go into irrational. Do you want to like have any issues with any of the other ones? Yeah.
What is E?
Just E is the base of a natural log. So it's like estimated, like it's around 2, but it's like 2 point, and then
Okay.
none. It's like pi, where it's like a symbol that means like non-repeating, non-terminating decimal.
Okay.
Okay, so for our next activity, we have a bunch of concepts that you're going to have to put in each category. So is it rational, is it irrational, or could it be both, depending on how it's simplified. So we're going to do the same thing, work by yourself first, to determine which part of the Venn diagram that the words go under, and then we'll talk with our partners.
Yeah, what's transcendental?
Because we know what transcendental is.
Transcendental talks about nature.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, maybe look it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll talk about it
We
afterwards.
will talk about
If
it.
we define it for you, it'll completely give it away.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up.
Gotcha.
That's fine.
Same with radical. I'm trying to remember what that is.
I know. I don't remember. The radical has no structure. Is that? Doesn't that mean?
Radicals
It's a
is
little
where
bit
we just
dismissed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's a middle section.
Okay.
So if you have a pretty good guess on most of them, talk with your partners and see if your guess is matched.
I don't know, there you go. Anything is fine.
And
So
you're right.
maybe transcendental. Look it up. Are these together or separate?
This is like one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, it's kind of confusing with the space between, but yeah, this
No,
is
that's
like
okay.
one
'Cause
thing.
one at a time would make them.
Oh, non-terminating,
You repeat the like.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. So,
Okay.
that's
Side
fine.
fractions. Oh. That's, no, because you can't write irrational numbers.
Transcendental.
We're doing like fractions. Does that go with rational?
Fractional.
Okay.
See, I said rational. She
I think the reason teachers' handwriting is always the best because they have us write so many things in methods that we just stop caring. So we just
I have
Not exactly.
non-terminating.
put all the answers.
Decimal in the middle.
Doctors too.
I put decimals. No, decimals goes with non-terminating, non-repeating.
Okay.
There's the right side decimals.
Yeah, it's in the middle because it's decimal. You guys need a couple more minutes?
This decimal
Yeah.
is a terminating decimal goes together.
Oh, well,
Wait,
Yeah.
Terminating
They
is
can
not-
really have this one.
So-
non-terminating and it's irrational. Okay, what about
So
radicals?
do we have anything in the middle then? Just making sure.
Radicals go in the middle.
I thought,
Radicals
is
go
that
in the middle.
transcendental
I had that
numbers?
question.
Is that
Transcendental numbers is one. Yeah. It doesn't like to like put them all close together.
So those are irrational.
Okay, so does anyone want to come move their word into the other word? I just have to do this.
If you gotta spin again,
This time they don't spin. They disappear.
Okay.
if you're
So
right,
she
If
picked
they're right, they'll
transcendental numbers. Does anyone know what a transcendental number is?
I also love it.
I know a really complicated explanation, but pi and e are examples of them.
They are.
So transcendental numbers are numbers that cannot be written as a root of something. So the root of a function, it cannot be written as. So
It's like a subcategory of irrational numbers. It's like all transcendental numbers are irrational, but not all irrationals are transcendentals.
Makes sense.
okay. Someone else want to go?
okay, Pat, sure you grew up.
Brian, do you want to go?
Oh yeah, of course I will.
So if they disappear, that's good, yeah?
Yes. If
Okay.
they disappear, you got it. If it bounces back.
So radicals can be both rational and irrational. Does anyone know why?
What's a radical?
Because square root of 4
Okay, so
happens.
what is a radical? Ryan wants to know. Go ahead.
It's a square root.
Right, so the square root or the cube root of some number. Yes.
So can it be both? Because like the square root of 16 would be 4, so that's rational. But then the square root of 12 is like crazy, so it's irrational.
Right, so we can
Yeah.
simplify.
I'm learning so much.
Yeah, the square root of 16 can be simplified. We know what it is. We know it's 4, so it can be written as a fraction. Anyone else?
Every time.
Let's see what happens.
So repeating decimals, they can't be written as a fraction because the chunk of the decimal keeps repeating every time, and those can't be repeated. Like she said, 0.333 can be written as 1/3. Anybody else?
Got the last two.
Both of them.
Two.
She'll take Jen.
No, Kat, make her do it.
Ask her where
Don't
it is.
do it.
Do it.
Okay, and then terminating decimals.
Make her be a good student.
Oh!
Right? Yeah, it was right. It just
You're right, Jody.
I thought I knew it.
Sometimes it lags a little bit.
Right, so terminating decimals are rational.
Okay, so this is our last activity. And so this one really hits on that second standard, is knowing where they fit on a number line. So take your best guess, and again, we're going to do by yourself and then pair it up. So where do these numbers fit on a number
I
line?
got that one.
Yeah.
Number 5 is
Hi, we know that one.
Higher than that.
3 points. So this, okay, let's go.
Square root of 2 would be not
It's like 2 and it's like
Is that,
1.
why can't square root of 2 be a
What's the square root?
Because it can be put on a coordinate plane.
It's 3. It's in between 3 and 4. Put closer.
Well,
Yeah, but
I
it's
don't put it that way.
negative.
Yes.
Okay, so negative is.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, we got this. We got this dog. Michelle.
Well, yeah.
Like,
talked about
how
already.
close do we have to be?
The numbers are like really big when you put them in there. So like if it's between 2, just put it in the middle and.
Negative square root. Wait, yes, you can have a negative square root, but you can't have a square root of negative.
Correct.
Therefore,
That would be
okay.
Yes.
And then 11, we said was closer to 4.
My calculator
But not
is
quite.
The square root of a negative would be an imaginary number.
In between.
Wait, you just said the square root of
I've been taking math.
Yeah, but the square root outside.
If it's
Yeah,
outside.
that sense.
Right.
So-
So the
If it
difference.
says
I didn't
square
think-
root
yeah,
negative
I'll-
11
Right.
instead of negative of the square root.
So these are different things.
I do.
We're really throwing you a curveball with our lack of math.
Sorry.
I haven't had math since first semester of freshman year, and
It's
that
actually
was
just
that.
Mine was
Negative
first
square root
semester of my
is
senior
negative.
year in high school.
Alright, so most people look like we're just about done, so maybe like 30 more seconds. Alright, so we've got 5, so if I can get 5 volunteers.
I'll do it.
Yeah, Brian?
These ones aren't going to spin or anything. I know.
Well,
So
just
no
reject them if they're wrong.
gratification.
I'm not
It's not going to
supposed
reject them
Okay,
either.
are all
It's
of
just
you
put them
volunteering too?
I'll go with
volunteer
you.
with you.
I won't.
You go ahead and do one.
After last time, I won't.
I got this.
So everyone else put them
Does anybody else want to do it? I can do the last one.
I don't.
Or Evan, do you want to do the last one while you're there?
Somewhere around that area, I imagine.
I imagine.
Okay, so does everyone agree with these?
I
What
think
I think
square
so.
root of 2 should be on the other side of 1.
Right, and why is that?
The square
Because
root
logic.
of 1 is 1. The square root of 1
Of 1 is 1, so
Right.
it's bigger.
So the square root of 1 is 1, and then, so we know it's going to be bigger than that, but it's less than 2 because we're taking the square root of 2. So it would be right in
And
the
the
middle.
square root of 4 is 2.
Does everyone else agree with the rest of them?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay, so to wrap up our talk about rational and irrational numbers, I need 4 volunteers to come in and fill in the definitions of rational and irrational numbers.
I will.
You got it all. You got it.
Rational numbers
Go for all.
and as a
English.
simple fraction.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Fill in the right next one.
Numbers
Just go for it.
can-
Go all of them.
Oh,
You got it? No, you got it.
You got this.
You got this.
You got this, Brian.
Woo.
Woohoo!
is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
that's right.
let's see. Does everyone think it's right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is neat.
Rational numbers can be written as a simple fraction, and then irrational numbers cannot be written as a simple fraction.
So that is what we have for you today.
Thank you.
I just,
I just, yeah.